This video should be quick. We're going to look at code snippets, which most of us have done before. We're going to do that with drag and drop as well, so you'll see a drag and drop feature. So we want to start with 9-4 from the student data files, and we're just going to create a little game here that's called Match the Shapes. Pretty basic. If you play the movie right now, you just have two different scenes or screens so far. One's just an instructions. When you click start, then you're dragging and dropping the shapes. The only code we have is on frame 1, we have a stop, and on frame 7, we have a stop as well. So there's the only two pre-formatted code that we have on here. Go ahead and select frame 1 in the actions layer and open up your actions panel to get ready to input some code. And we're going to do all of this with the code snippets panel, which is this little icon over here. If you don't see the icon or you can't find this panel, just go to Window at the top and you should see code snippets in there. All right, under timeline navigation, we're going to create some code snippets that automatically puts in some ActionScript 3.0 for us when we click the start button. All right, notice that the actions panel now says frame, so it always kind of gives you a little hint as to what you have currently selected. Well, we want to put the code on the button here. So when I click my button, okay, notice that it doesn't allow me to put code on the button, but we can use the instance name right here. So go ahead and give this an instance name of start button, or BTN for button. Whatever you type in here, just remember that because that's what we're going to use. The nice thing about code snippets is that you don't have to type that in by hand. It's going to automatically do it for us. So in our code snippet panel, we want to look for the one that says to click to go to frame and play. Double click that one. It'll automatically put the code in for us. Notice we still have our stop line at the top. If you want to get rid of these comments here, you can. It's just going to explain the same thing that I'm going to kind of walk through you here as well. So from our previous tutorials, we should now kind of understand what this all means. You have a start button, which references the button on the stage. It's adding a listener, so it's listening for a mouse click event that's going to happen. And this is the function name. Now it is kind of lengthy, but it's just describing that in the flash file, it's a click to go to and play from frame, and then it gives you a number here, 3. All right, not sure what that 3 is for, but it says it's going to go to and play frame 5. Well, our second scene, or screen I should say, starts on frame 7. Okay, so what we need to do is go back into the code on frame 1 and change that to a 7. All right, so when the button is clicked, it's going to call this function right down here, and it's a mouse event, and this right here just means there's no return type. So if we called a function and it was supposed to return a value, such as a number or a line of text, you wouldn't want this on here, and you could have it return something. For example, you can have it return answer. Okay, however, you don't want to put this on here if it's going to be void. Void means it doesn't return anything, which ours isn't going to. It's just going to skip to a frame and play it. All right, let's test that button functionality, but first I'm going to save this in my project folder. And I'm going to save this as shapes with code snippets. All right, I'll go ahead and test it now. Make sure our button works without any errors. Okay, again, start, and we get there. Okay, now let's work on the drag and drop feature. Let's get this game to actually work a little bit. So go ahead and select frame 7 in the actions layer, and then go ahead and click on the black square in the start bin, and let's give this an instance name of square. Pretty blunt. And again, we're going to use our code snippets panel, but now we want to look under the actions folder, and we're going to find the one that says drag and drop. Double click that one, and it puts in little comments here, and you see a couple different events here. So let me drag this up so we can see it all at once. You still have your stop line in there. It goes ahead and adds an event listener for the square. It's listening for a mouse down, so that means the mouse click is down and it's still being held down. It's calling this function. Well, if we go to the next line, here's that function. It's not returning anything, and it takes in that mouse event, and then this is what happens when the click starts. The square, and then it uses a class called startDrag. All right, so that means that the object is going to stay wherever the cursor is. This is pretty similar here, but notice now instead of the square being selected, it's the stage. So this means that the entire stage, whenever it sees or hears the mouse up event, so the button is being released, it's calling this function, which is right down here. And when that function is called, it's telling the square to stop dragging. All right, that's pretty much it. Okay, we go to Control, test the movie, starts okay, and now you can click and drag the square. Okay, we haven't added any functionality about where to drop it at, but it does work, so you can match them up. Okay, just the square will work though, but you can kind of figure that the rest of the shapes will work the same way. Okay, if I select my triangle, go into my code snippets, double click, drag and drop. We didn't put in an instance name, shame on me, should have done that. I'm going to click OK, and it'll automatically put one in for me. Now notice this generic name, movie clip _ 2. If I click on my triangle, there's the instance name that it gave it. Okay, if you wanted to change this, it'd be a wise idea to go back into the code and make sure that it was changed here. If not, you'd have to type it in both here, here, and here. All right, I'll make sure I do my circle the correct way. Let me go ahead and name it circle. And now give it the drag and drop. Notice it uses the instance name there, here, and here. All right, go ahead and test it. Drag this triangle, drops it okay, drag the circle, drag the square. Looks like they're all working okay. It would be pretty easy to make this stage release function work for all of them at the same time. So by using the code snippets, it puts in separate events, but technically this, where it stops the drag, the one for the triangle, and the one for the square can be combined, all right, because you're selecting the entire stage and not one of the objects. All right, but we'll leave it at that because it is indeed working. All right, hopefully you had fun with that, and we'll see you in the next one.